Hey there, welcome back to MeoMeo Life. It's me. Let's jump into today's adventure. It was another beautiful day at the farm. Little Cat stretched out in a patch of warm sunlight, purring happily. Today was an adventure day. Little Cat wanted to go explore. He jumped down from his spot and trotted outside. The little cat looked up at the big blue sky. The fluffy white clouds seemed to have grown quite dark and ominous looking. Still, Little Cat was more interested in chasing butterflies than he was worried about the clouds. He skipped past the old abandoned barn and chased a red butterfly that fluttered around the wooden structure. Little Cat pounced, but the butterfly landed on his nose and tickled it, so he sneezed. Then the butterfly flew away and disappeared into the tall grass. Little Cat continued exploring further out into the fields, venturing beyond the farmyard for the very first time. As he walked, he noticed tiny little dewdrops on the tops of the grasses. He lapped one up, and it tasted sweet and cool on his tongue. Little Cat was having a great time, but now the sky had grown darker and the wind had picked up. Little Cat looked up and asked himself, why is the sky crying? He had never seen or experienced rain before. Then pitter, patters, bigger, louder. More rapid and strong, the raindrops fell from the darkening sky and hit the ground. Little Cat was scared. What was happening? Where could he hide? He ran back towards the familiar old barn. Maybe he could hide under the hay. But when he got there, he saw that a hole had opened up in the roof and water was pouring out of it. Little Cat didn't want to get wet, so he ran and hid under some big green leaves instead. I'm okay, he thought. I'm all set here. But then the wind grew stronger, and suddenly the leaves were ripped off of their stems and blown away in the wind. Little Cat looked around. He was all alone and getting wet. He slipped and slid on the muddy ground. He shook his little body like a puppy trying to shake off the water, but it just made him slip and slide even more. He kept walking, but everywhere he went, there were puddles. And every time he tried to step in the wrong one, he slipped and slid again. After a while, Little Cat came across a big cart that had been abandoned by the farmers. It was covered with a big blue tarp that reached the ground, hiding everything underneath it from the rain. Little Cat squeezed underneath the tarp and into the cart. It was dry and cozy underneath. He curled up in a ball and closed his eyes. It wasn't the same as being with Mom Cat, but it was warm and cozy in its own way. As Little Cat snuggled in his new den, memories of happier times flashed before his eyes. He remembered how safe he felt when he was little. How he would snuggle up to Mom Cat and she would lick his head and keep him warm and dry while the storm raged around them. He missed her so much. Suddenly he started to feel a little bit scared. Would the storm ever end? Would he ever be dry again? How long would he have to stay here? He felt so cold and wet and all alone. At that moment, Little Cat wished more than anything that he had someone to snuggle, a warm body to cuddle next to, or even just a warm, dry blanket to wrap himself in. But he didn't have any of those things. He was all alone in a cold, muddy puddle under an old abandoned cart. Meanwhile, above him, the wind and the rain continued to rage, but slowly they began to fade away. One by one, the raindrops fell slower and farther apart. Then a bright sunbeam broke through the dark clouds and shone down on the wet ground. Above him, the clouds moved away, parting the dark skies for a bright, beautiful rainbow. When Little Cat heard the pitter-patter of little feet running around him, he cracked open one eye. At first, all he could see was a pair of little black boots. Then he saw the rest of the little kitten. She had a little pink nose and whiskers and bright, curious green eyes. "Oh," said the little kitten. "My name is Mittens. Do you mind if I play here too?" Little Cat blinked at her. He hadn't realized that the rain had stopped. He'd been asleep the whole time. Now the sun was shining, and a beautiful rainbow arched across the sky. Hi," he said. "I'm a little cat. Sure, you can play here with me." Then the two kittens began to play together under the abandoned cart, chasing each other and batting at butterflies until they both fell over, exhausted and happy. After a while, Mittens stood up and shook the dirt and the rainwater off of her fur. "It's so much fun playing in the rain," she said. "Do you want to come play outside with me again tomorrow?" Little Cat hesitated. The thought of playing outside was fun, but the thought of getting all wet and cold and scared and lonely again wasn't. He looked up at the bright blue sky with the fluffy white clouds, and then he looked down at his muddy, wet paws. Maybe another day," he said. Mittens didn't seem to mind. "Okay," she said. "You can play another day. Bye, Little Cat." And with that, she skipped away. Little Cat watched her go, and then he stood up and shook himself like a dog. Water flew everywhere. He took a deep breath and smiled. He liked playing outside. The mud was cool and squishy between his toes. The tall grass tickled his legs, and the wildflowers smelled sweet and pretty. Plus, it was nice not having to listen to any loud noises or grumpy meows from the big mean cats. He could do whatever he wanted, and no one could tell him otherwise. Then Little Cat took a big step outside of the cart. His whole world was a giant playground, and he couldn't wait to explore more of it. He chased butterflies and caught dragonflies and rolled in the cool grass, and all the time, he kept smiling, getting lost in the adventures of the outdoors. After a while, Little Cat started to get tired. He walked back towards the old barn where he had first started his adventure. When he got there, he noticed something shiny in the grass. It was a big, beautiful beetle, striped green, red, and black. Little Cat carefully nudged it with his paw. The beetle flew up and landed on his nose. He sneezed and the beetle flew off. Then Little Cat saw it again. It landed on his tail and he shook his tail and the beetle flew off again. It landed on his ear and he shook his ear and the beetle flew off once more. Finally, it landed on his head. Little Cat shook his head and the beetle flew straight up into the air and disappeared. Then Little Cat looked up at the sky. The big dark clouds were gone and fluffy white clouds floated across the blue canvas above him. A beautiful rainbow stretched from one end of the sky to the other. The rain had washed the world clean and everything was shiny, bright, and new. When Little Cat got home, he was wet, he was muddy, he was full of scratches and scrapes, but he was happy, snuggled up to Mom Cat and purred. The rain might have been scary, but it was also fun. He told Mom Cat all about the places he had seen and the friends that he had made. Mom Cat purred and groomed him and licked his head until he was all clean and dry and warm and fuzzy again. Thank you so much for watching today's adventure. Please don't forget to subscribe. We would love to have it if you would join our family. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. I'm pretty sure that most of us have felt some level of fear when we get caught in the rain without an umbrella, especially if we're already wet and the rain just makes things worse. This is exactly how this little cat named Carrot felt after getting lost during a storm. The kitten was all alone, soaking wet and scared out of his mind. But you'll see soon enough that he was also quite brave, because this little guy did ungive up, and he kept searching for his family until they were finally reunited. And it was all thanks to a good Samaritan who helped this lost kitty find his way home. Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel where we share with you the cutest and funniest videos of cats from all over the internet. If you are a cat lover, then this is the channel for you. So make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos. Before we start, we would like to thank you all for the support you've given us. We've been able to touch the hearts of so many people with our videos, and it's all because of your help. So thank you again, and now let's begin. A young lady from North Carolina named Samantha Brooks found a tiny kitten all alone in the pouring rain one day, while she was out walking her other cats. The poor kitten was only 8 weeks old and had no idea where his mother or his siblings were. It was quite obvious that the little guy had been separated from his mom not too long ago. And although he was doing his best to stay positive, his body language told a different story. The kitten's tail was tucked between his legs, and he was trying to hide in a bush. To make matters even worse, the kitten was completely drenched and freezing cold. The moment Samantha saw the frightened kitten, she knew she had to do something to help him. So she picked him up, wrapped him in a towel, and brought him home. But before she could do anything else, she had to warm him up. And she did that by placing him next to a radiator in her living room. As soon as the little guy felt the warmth of the radiator, he began purring like crazy. Then Samantha gave him some food and water, but he wasn't really interested in eating, just wanted to curl up and sleep. The next morning, Samantha took the kitten outside to let him play with her other cats. She thought that maybe they could help him find his way back home, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. The kitten stayed with Samantha for 3 days. During that time, she fed him, petted him, played with him, and most importantly, gave him lots of love. Samantha really wanted to find the kitten's real family, but since he was so young, there was no way that she could keep him. That's why she decided to take him to a local animal shelter. When she arrived at the shelter, she asked the staff to take care of him, because he needed some special attention and obviously a lot of love. At first, the workers at the shelter were worried that the kitten wouldn't make it. He was extremely small and weak. But thankfully, Samantha had taken such good care of him, so they were able to save his life. They named the kitten Carrot and started looking for a foster mom who could take care of him until he was big enough to be adopted. Luckily, they found a woman who was willing to help Carrot, and at first, everything seemed to be going well. The foster mom named April was very patient and kind to the kitten. She spent hours playing with him, grooming him, and feeding him. But as time went on, she began noticing that something was wrong. Carrot was still very shy, and he seemed to be constantly stressed out. April knew that something was bothering him, but she couldn't figure out what it was. She tried everything she could think of to make him feel comfortable, but nothing worked. One day, April decided to take Carrot to the vet to see if there was a medical reason behind his behavior. After examining him, the vet told her that he was perfectly healthy and that there was nothing wrong with him. The vet said that Carrot was just scared and that he needed some time to adjust to his new surroundings. But April knew that that wasn't the whole story. Something was definitely bothering him, but he wasn't showing any signs of illness. As the days went by, April continued to try and figure out what was wrong with Carrot. She played with him, gave him lots of treats, and even tried putting him in a carrier to see if that would help. But nothing seemed to work. He was still very shy, and he would often hide under the bed or behind the couch. April was starting to get worried about Carrot, but she didn't give up. She continued to try and spend as much time with him as possible, and eventually, he began to open up to her. One afternoon, Carrot was hiding under the bed, and April crawled underneath to try and coax him out. As she sat there talking to him, she noticed that he had a small cut on his paw. She gently touched it, and he immediately began to purr. It seemed like he had been hiding his pain from her, and now he was finally letting her see it. After taking care of his cut, Carrot seemed to become more comfortable around April. He began to enjoy being petted, and he would often rub against her legs when she walked by. He still had moments where he would hide or become skittish, but overall, he was making progress. April was overjoyed to see him getting better, and she continued to work with him every day to help him overcome his fears. With patience and love, April was finally able to help Carrot become a more confident and outgoing kitten. He was still a bit shy, but he was much happier now. That's when April knew that she had done her job well. A little while later, Carrot was adopted by a loving family who had seen him at the shelter. They were drawn to his playful personality and beautiful orange fur, and they knew that he was the perfect addition to their home. On his first day in his new home, Carrot explored his surroundings with curiosity. He chased after toys, climbed on furniture, and even made friends with the family's dog. The family was delighted with how well he adjusted to his new environment, and they knew that they had made the right decision by adopting him. Carrot's new mom fell in love with his playful and affectionate nature. He would often greet her at the door when she came home from work. He loved to cuddle on the couch while watching TV. Carrot also enjoyed playing with his new cat tree, and he would spend hours climbing to the top and batting at the dangling toys. He quickly became a beloved member of the family, and they were grateful to have given him a second chance at a happy life. If you want to see another video just like this one, then check out this video right here. If you want to see more videos of our channel, then please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos. We would greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for watching.